Welcome to another edition of our podcast. We have a very special guest, Emily Mitnik. She's from New York. She's from a company called Stylus. She's here for a lecture, and she took some time to be here with us and talk about the future of work. Also, Emmanuel is here with us. He's been in the podcast before. So why don't you introduce yourself briefly, Emily, please?
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to check out a new city here in Mexico. And my name is Emily Mitnik. I work for a trend intelligence service called Stylus Media Group. And we are a global firm. We track about 20 different industries across consumer lifestyle patterns, product design, and consumer engagement. And a lot of companies will use our content to strategize, help innovate for their own brand strategy and product design.
Perfect. So thank you for being here. And so the idea is to talk a little bit about, your experience and your expertise and have a conversation where we can build with our opinions and reactions to each other's ideas. And so tell us a little bit about your take about the future of work.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I think, in short, it's already here. When we think about what is the future of work, and people tend to think about digital nomads, working remotely. The concept of working remotely used to be working from home.
Yeah.
But now it's really working from cafes, it's working from poolsides occasionally, it's working from wherever you can find Wi-Fi. So, in terms of the future of work, I think it's evolving, it's shifting, and it's already here, and it's moving very quickly.
Yeah. So how much of it do you think? Hearing you, an idea that came to my mind is the future of work probably has two sides of it. One of it is how we work, and probably the other one is what we do. So I think that a lot of it is about how we work.
Sure.
Right. So what do you think about what we do? How do you think that will evolve?
So it's interesting, the concept of how we work, right? So Stylus released a big macro trend last year called the work-life revolution. And one of our editors said that we all have our own work rhythm, right? She pegged it that, right? We all work differently. Sometimes we like to be up really early and we're early birds and we get 3 hours of work done very quickly. Sometimes we work well at night, depends on who you are. And I think that there's been this social expectation that you have to be in an office from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., at least in the States. I don't know if the hours are the same in Latin America.
9 to 6.
9 to 6,
yeah.
Okay.
And some companies go on Saturday even.
Yeah.
I think creative, it's more like 10 to 10 with a lot of breaks.
Yeah, but you get the idea, right?
Yeah, but actually here we have two different
schedules.
8 to 5 and 9 to 6.
Yeah. But it's a set schedule.
Yeah.
It's very industrial.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, when you ask me, where is it moving and how do people work, I think it's almost a funny concept to kind of block out, okay, you have to be working from, if I don't see you in the office at 9 until 6 or 10 to 8, whatever it is, that you're not working.
And it's not true because you're still working at 10 p.m. because you're connecting with somebody in the other side of the country.
Sure. That's a whole other layer, right? I think that's from a leadership perspective, working with teams across different time zones, that's also going to evolve and shift the way that people are working. But yes,
And becomes a big challenge, for the companies and for the company owners or for the company leaders to
understand,
manage that,
to deal with.
You talk about a program you took from different one country, one remote
year. Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit?
Yes. So basically, my company Stylus was tracking a big trend, the future of work, and we were looking at companies that are innovative, that are catering to this lifestyle. And Remote Year was one of them, along with other ones like Be Unsettled, and there's some other programs out there that are travel work programs where they organize a group of individuals who can work full-time remotely, and they actually create travel programs where they can travel the world one city at a time for 1 year. I applied to the program, got in by some miracle, 300,000 applicants, and pitched it to my company Stylus to help bring what we were tracking to life. So I joined Remote Year August of 2017, crazy. And I traveled the world working full time for Stylus, new city each month for 1 year.
And how does that relate to this idea of rhythm that you were speaking of? It sounds to me like this idea of rhythm, it's very personal, and it's not necessarily a conscious preference. It's more of, the way, it sounded to me more like it's naturally we each have different rhythms.
Correct.
Of, what times are productive and what times aren't. And so is that something that you think it's very innate, or do you think that it's just a preference?
That's a really good question. I'm still figuring that out myself. I think it's innate, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so too.
Not everybody can work remotely, globally. Remote year is a very extreme example, and it's a very isolated example where you have a group of people traveling the world. You're moving each city each month. You have to pack. I had one bag with me, so I was packing constantly on a personal and emotional level. It's very exhausting, right?
I can imagine.
And then you add in the work factor. So I think it's an innate ability to be able to have that discipline and that focus to create the time frames for yourself to work. To create the metrics. Yeah, I mean everything. It's a really crazy program.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But don't you think that probably, because I came to this idea when I was thinking about this typical thing of automated cars, right?
Sure.
And in theory, automated cars will change the rhythm of cities.
Sure.
Yeah. So we'll consume differently and we'll live differently and probably we'll have more time. What are we going to do with it, right? Mm-hmm. That's probably a question. But so I lost my train of thought.
Well, I can build on that for
please.
you. The way that we look at trends, and I like what you were saying because I was kind of nodding back here. Yeah, connecting it is. We're talking about work, and then your brain went to automation of cars, right? The back of the car, according to all of the research that we're looking at, and it's not hidden research, it's open. The back of the car is going to be an extension of your workspace. It's going to be an extension of your home.
Yeah.
So you have to think as a designer, as a researcher, as anyone in the creative field or that's building products or strategy for brands, how is the back of the car eventually going to evolve? How is it going to look? How is it going to smell? How is it going to feel? Because eventually it will be an extension of the work.
Workspace, home, or probably there'll be different kinds of cars. Yeah, cars for sleeping, cars for working, cars for eating.
Yeah, I mean it's already happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, the example is how many days you spend in Mexico City? Almost a month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel the traffic of Mexico City.
The traffic, you feel, even those bikes that I'm now riding, right? I mean, there's a reason why those bikes exist. There's a reason why those scooters exist. And this is exactly how, for me, it's exciting to experience firsthand because when we're tracking trends at Stylus, we always think about what are the lifestyle patterns that are impacting product design. And then from a marketing angle and a branding angle, how do you then reach these types of consumers that are new and evolving and changing? So to see those bikes, they seem like, okay, they're just bikes. But for me, I'm like, no, why am I riding this bike? I have to ask myself, right? In Mexico City, the traffic is unbearable. The smog is crazy. Like, I would never sit in traffic, right?
No, I think it's the worst, waste of time. Only people who are born there actually learn to tolerate it because they're born there.
Sure.
Yeah.
And they have no option.
And when you're accustomed to it, it's probably okay. But I'm captivated by this idea of rhythm. And while you were speaking, it kind of reminded me of this era back in the probably 60s or 50s, where highways you could travel in the States, and this idea of Route 66 and that kind of freedom. Isn't this like a similar moment in time, but worldwide and detached from assets and from, those kinds of commitments. For young people, of course. Mm-hmm.
And it's not just for young people.
Yeah, also.
I think that we live in a really scary time. and I'm a very positive, optimistic person, but we have to take the zoom out lens on our world a little bit, and things are really not that great, right?
Yes, of course they don't.
You know, we always think about the economy, we always think about politics and, you know, our environment when we're creating our trends and when we're thinking about research. And, you know, at least being in the US, you know, there's a lot happening right now.
Yeah, of course. And in Mexico, we're about to enter an interesting era also.
Exactly. You too as well. And, you know, these factors all impact our rhythm. They all impact our mindset and our behaviors. So I think this whole idea of remote working or work-life balance that we keep hearing about, you have to ask why. Why is it that people are really desperate for this break?
Yeah, I think we're tired, like, of. I know this has been said and done, but we're tired of this industrial mindset system. And I think I heard, and I always forget my sources. I'm sorry about that. But I heard in a podcast, there was a woman, I think she was I don't know what, she was an anthropologist, a sociologist, I don't remember. But she was saying that companies complain a lot about younger generations, like, you know, the generation clash, and millennials and their lack of commitment, or how they get bored really easily and all that. And she mentioned something that I had been thinking about is, they're not a problem. That's not a problem. That's a symptom, right? Of rhythm changing. And I thought of this idea of, you know, systems that auto-regulate themselves. I think that the new rhythm that new generations are bringing into the workplace are a disruption in itself, and it's trying to shake this old way of thinking, old way of doing, and making us uncomfortable in the way.
Sure.
Right?
And I think not only that, because we are talking about the future of work, but also you can start seeing some generation, I don't know, the future of retirement. I don't know, like my parents, no? My father is from France, so he's worked like the system, the French system, no? You need to study 9 to 5, have the degree, start working, and have your retirement at 60 or 65, getting angry because you need to work one more year, etc., etc. Now he's retired, and he don't know what to do.
I know.
He don't know what to do.
My parents are in the same situation.
No, he can't. And also he can't leave Paris like a full-time years because it's living in a shoebox, but he started like moving. He don't know where to go. He don't know what to do. He started doing still in business, but I don't know for the future. Like if we are scared for the future of work, I don't know what we're gonna do with the future of retirement. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna have a program of 1 year retirement
around the world.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it's a good point. We're doing a lot of research on boomers in general, and they actually do have a lot of similar mindsets to millennials, believe it or not. There's a lot of overlap.
Right now.
Yeah. And I think also the idea also just of future of education is going to be completely different as well. So maybe retirement isn't even going to be a concept.
Exactly.
I don't think either.
You know, so
You're gonna keep going and going and going.
And this generation, I mean, your dad and my father-in-law, I think that they're ready for something that they don't have, right? For the next thing that they won't be able to experience. Right. So I think that the first victims of this, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I love what you said. I don't know if we're backtracking a little bit, but I do love what you said about being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, that organizations, more traditional, archaic, let's call it.
But most of them are, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. That there is a sense of discomfort, right? Like, you know, I heard some crazy statistic, like 8 out of 10 people like don't feel comfortable speaking up or you know, saying the truth, right? Okay. Because they're uncomfortable with discomfort. They don't want to go against the grain or
it's badly seen if you are. It seems like you're a cynic or you know, negative.
Right. So, trail of thought, but basically, I think that there's a lot to say when we think about the future of work and just future teams and collaboration. About that sense of discomfort, I think actually is when the best stuff happens.
Yeah. Even if when you're experiencing it, it feels.
Yeah.
difficult. Yeah.
And also, I think I was telling you 5 minutes ago, like, I think everybody wants the same. Everybody wants freedom, more money, more time, more chance to do. I don't think it's so complicated because it's in the nature. Everybody wants the same. So I think the challenge is what we have to do to put that opportunity for everybody to make thinking about some freedom, like your program, like it's crazy, no? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that we all want to enjoy our lives. It used to be that you worked, so you can enjoy your life eventually. And now that they have all the time they need, is like, so what is life?
Right. I know. It's very, very, it's a hard concept to digest because it's like, we just want it all, right? And then the question is how do we do that?
And once you have it, what do you do with it?
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to go back to your thought of the future of education linked to the future of work. I have some ideas, but I want to hear yours. I mean, how much do you think those two things that now are, you get your education, you work, in a linear process, how much of that do you think is going to work? I mean, change.
I wish I could answer that. I don't know. I really don't know. When I think about the kids today, I was babysitting my friend's kids the other night and I'm just watching them, and they naturally were born with the phone, like in their hands. So the way that they operate, the way that they think, I don't care what anyone says, like, it's different. Like, it's totally different.
He's 9 years old and he's doing a keynote to make a presentation. Like, I started using Keynote maybe 15 years ago. He's doing Keynote from...
Your son.
My son, yes, he's 9 years old and he's doing a presentation in Keynote.
No, and it's just the way... Pitching. Yeah, it's just the way that they were born. They were born into it. So when I think about the future of education... Like, I went to a university for 4 years because that's what society and my parents told me I needed to do. I didn't really have any other option. It was almost like very linear, like you said, right? Do good in school, go to college, pick a career. These are big choices. I think that now with technology and the way that careers are shifting because of technology, we're doing a lot of research right now on like specialized higher education programs where it may not be where you just go to a college for 4 years. I don't think it's going to be that way. It's going to be more specialized.
And I think sooner than we think.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Because I think that what I feel is that I think that leads us into more of the what of the future of work. Probably, because it used to be that the what was one thing for many years, and probably now it's not even, more things in less time. So you will do different kinds of things in less amount of time. So your learning curve is just gonna have to be faster.
Sure.
And whatever you're gonna do after, you don't know. It's like you just don't know what's it gonna be. So all you need is to have the openness and the ability to learn quickly. Right, in order to cope with whatever, right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. It's scary to me.
Yeah, me too.
Like, it really freaks me out sometimes. My father, who's in his late 60s, I'm sorry, he'll probably be upset that I'm aging him, but he was a designer, graphic design, born into an artist's field. His father was an artist, and there's architects on our family. He's an artist. He spent almost 40 years of his career in his graphic design advertising business, decided to stop, right? Retire, because that's what he was told he needed to do. And now he's painting. And it's like this concept of like natural, raw hand painting it just doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And to see it now in him come alive, it's like, my hope is that with all of this future of work, all of this technology, all of this AI and VR, all of whatever, all of this nonsense, that there is some authenticity and some soul that's left in our natural talent.
Yeah, I hope that what's going to happen, probably, hopefully. as you know, the future has many pockets, right?
Right.
But one of the things that I hope to happen is that a lot of the chores and the things that we don't like to do will be automated, and so
Exactly.
we'll have more time to pursue like our purpose, our whatever that is, our muse, our purpose, our strengths, our happiness, be that work or whatever, probably.
Exactly.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll see in the presentation tomorrow, there is a lot that we're doing on, automation and AI technology for concierge services that's actually replacing humans, which is, it's also a scary thought because it's getting rid of jobs.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the first crisis probably that we're facing pretty soon. I mean, like blue collar workers and all that, drivers and a lot of things are going to be replaced, and we know that, and we're not ready for it,
Right.
for sure. But I also think, and I want to hear your thoughts, both of you, on this. I think knowledge work is also going to change right after, right? Because I think that as productivity and efficiency in organizations, gets delegated to technology, I think that knowledge work is going to evolve faster than it used to, right? A lot more about value creation than just exploitation. And also, we're not ready for that. So that wasn't a question, but yeah.
It was more like a statement. Right?
Yeah. So, but I wanted to turn it into a question. So how about the what? I mean, how much of the what is in people's concerns? Because I know the how it's all over the place, right? The future of work. Or do you think that we haven't thought a lot about the what yet? Like the what we will do instead of the how we'll do it?
that's a good question. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, sorry.
Well, let me ask
Elaborate,
you then.
yeah.
Let me ask you because maybe I'm just to clarify. So, in terms of your space here, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe that remote working is going to be the right way to go, or is effective? Or from a creative standpoint, and as kind of a leader in this field or in this space, how are you going to ensure that collaboration, creativity, and communication among teams continues, or how are you planning on shifting your kind of business here?
I think we haven't thought that far, even if it's probably not that far. But what we're seeing is that a lot more people, especially women, want to have flexible hours, and it's natural, especially in Latin American cultures, that happens, and it's only the gateway towards everyone, wanting that. I think that eventually, as we grow, the space won't be enough, and it won't make sense, right, to have more space. So I think that in the same way that education is having the same issue, how much of it happens online, but what about community? What about engagement? What about peer learning? I think that we're gonna have to have base camps, right, where you come and you have interaction and you do some face-to-face work, and so some things will require that, and a lot won't. I mean,
Right.
like traveling.
But
how much of it did you miss when you were traveling?
You miss a lot or not? Because I think one thing is going to happen here. I think that's my point of view. I don't know if Michel has the same in that one, but I think the group, the team, it's going to be reduced. The growth of the company, I don't think it's going to be the growth in number of people. It's going to be more in the talent of the people. So the talent is going to be, we're going to have less talent, and a lot of the value we are delivering right now, it's not going to have any value anymore.
Yeah.
So all that work or that delivery is going to be phased away from our work, and this space, I think, it's going to be more different services, different collaboration. We're going to have more and more, like you today, like we are talking about trends. We're going to have more different variety of people and talent in the office.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be less, more the lay of Pareto. It's Pareto?
Pareto, I think, 80-20. I'm not sure whether,
That
Yeah,
eight-
I got it.
I think we're going to concentrate in the 20 and the 80 is going to be outside of the office.
Yeah,
So
probably.
that's what I think. I don't know, because the 80 is going to be more like collaboration, one in, one out, and because the value is not going to be there. So that's scary for the people who look for a 9 to 5 job. I don't know.
And I think it's exciting for a lot of people who don't.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and when you talk about the future of work, I mean, our brain immediately usually goes to like nomadic working from cafes, the design of the space. But actually, when you really think about it, it's also from a leadership level, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to adapt,
Yes.
right? So it's not just about the workers; it's about the leadership as well. You know, how do you? You know, you're going to have to be thinking about who you're hiring a little bit stronger, right?
Yeah.
Because, you know,
won't be pushing them to get the work done.
exactly. And that's just the way that the world is moving.
Yeah.
So from a leadership perspective, you're just going to have to evolve with it as well.
Yeah. So how much of this are you seeing, and of the things you can share with us in your, in New York, in your environment, or wherever you went actually? How much of this shift are you sensing in terms of not only time, space, but also leadership?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And this year was one of the biggest learning curves for me and for my bosses, I think, as well, right? Because for the first time, they had to manage a remote team. You know, I wasn't the only remote worker, but in terms of, again, because when we think remote working, we do have people at Stylus that work from their homes.
In New York.
In New York, or in California. Traveling around the globe in different time zones obviously is a very unique situation. But for my boss, you know, that meant we had to be really over communicative, you know, find new ways to talk to each other. And, you know, for me to, and that's something that I still today am learning how to do, because it is a new way of working, right?
Yes, of course.
And I have to make sure I have the tools in place as well.
Too many tools, like
Yeah,
you
too
can
many
talk by
options.
Instagram, you can talk by Facebook, by
Yeah,
Slack,
by Slack, by Skype, by phone calls, by Zoom calls.
I don't know. I mean, you made me think of something in terms for leaders and of course for remote teams. Both of you, when you have to deal with something remotely, and this, I'm not speaking like creative work, like not writing an article or doing a report. I'm talking about remote collaboration in real time. It is my experience that it's cognitively heavier. So you get tired faster when you have someone in a screen that when we're face to face.
Sure.
In our experience, we have one planner. She worked with us since maybe 6 years ago. And in these 6 years, she lives in St. Croix, in the Virgin Islands.
Nice.
She's alone, and she's working remotely. We saw her once a week, and she collaborates with everybody. And since the moment she leaves the office, the productivity of her work is like increasing like 100%. And I don't know. I don't know if it's because she's in an island, like because in St. Croix there is.
I just need to go to an island.
Yeah.
To get my work done.
Yeah, because in the it's nothing there. Like in the island is nothing. I don't know if this is part of like more like not a job, but more like something of fulfillment. I don't know. Like it worked perfectly. But actually, we have somebody in Mexico City. And it's kind of bumpy because it's not the same as.
Right.
But I think it's more like the profile of the people who is working.
It's exactly. I mean, it's exactly what we were saying in the beginning about work rhythms. I mean, I know now more than ever when my blocks of times when I'm most productive and what the light needs to be like, what the sounds need to be like. I know myself more now than ever, and I think that's something again from a leadership level. You just need to be aware of with your staff is that everybody works differently.
And I think we're going to have to be more, as you mentioned, more adamant about talent, and of course also about vocation. I mean, if someone has the right vocation, they cannot help themselves but do what they're meant to do, right? But I wanted to go elsewhere, and I hope I can remember. Because
you're old.
I'm old, and also because I go somewhere and then I forget where I was going. Yeah, so it has to do with full-time employment versus the alternative. Because I think we've heard a lot, and it's an old idea of this gig economy, which probably won't be as many gigs as everyone thinks it will be. I think it's going to be somewhere in between. But how much can you share with us about that?
You have to pay me and I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have lots of insight into that, and generational insight as well. Again, I think, big companies like, who can I mention?
Like big companies.
Like big companies that you've definitely heard of before. They're global, you know them well. They come to us and they ask us, can you give us an hour-long presentation on what is the baby, like what do babies want? Like how are the babies living? How are the kids? Just the Gen Zs, or Gen Alphas now that we're going to have another one, a subcategory.
Yeah, it's the next letter in the alphabet.
Because those questions about, how are they going to be working, or how are they going to be buying? How are they going to be behaving? These guys who are the heads of marketing, the heads of branding, or the heads of strategy need to understand this so well, because if they're going to stay ahead of the curve and prepare and make their businesses good and valuable, they need to pay attention to those lifestyle patterns. Yeah. So,
and you probably can't speak about it too much. So I'll elaborate. So here's what I think is that probably this idea of being a freelancer it's too risky, right? I mean, you may or may not have work. So so probably somewhere in between, like you would sell part of your time to 3 or 4 companies, and my take is that, and this is uninformed like you, as opposed to you, is that companies will be like agents, right? Like agents that manage artists. So you're gonna be like an agent that manages certain, kinds of talent in a very specific niches, and you will put to their, disposal, a lot of infrastructure and a lot of things that they need, so they can, take value to the market.
right, and produce their best work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that in that regard, education's not there, leadership's not there, but I think that probably our vocations and our interests are there. I mean, if we could do that, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, there needs to be some sort of balance.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think a little too much freedom.
Yeah.
Is chaos. I think that especially creatives, we need structure.
Oh, yes.
Because otherwise we'll just go array.
Exactly. Exactly. So, closing remarks. What would you like to close the session with?
First of all, thank you for coming here to the campus and sharing. We will hear your lecture tomorrow.
And you will tell me about the lecture because I can be there.
Yeah.
But thank you, Emily, for being here. Thank you for coming to Monterey. Thank you for taking the time. And hope to see you soon in New York sometime.
You as well.
Yes.
Time is luxury, so I know.
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much.
We need to work in the future of retirement.
Yes, pretty soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.